had a great weekend. I'm having problems here because I put one of those, it's really thin, one of those finger straps on the back of my phone is really thin, but my little tripod thing it just won't work now. So we'll just go ahead anyways, and I'm gonna just put on a little minimal makeup here so you guys have something to watch while I talk, because I had a couple requests to do more I don't know, life story. I don't know if I'm really going to upload this because I don't want people to think, oh my gosh, she was just, wild and trashy, or I don't know. I don't want people to get the wrong idea of me and my past life, because it wasn't like that at all. So I'm just gonna dive in, and then, I don't have to upload it, right? So if I do end up uploading this video, please be kind. So this is about the time period. It was in the mid-90s, and I was divorced from my first husband by then, which my previous video talked about him a little bit. And, I was a single mom, and I know a lot of you know what that's like. And it's not fun, and it's, very hard. And I was just going to work and taking care of the kids and doing my thing to try to make ends meet. And out of a clear blue sky, out of nowhere, a guy that I had used to have been engaged to before my first husband looked me up, and we were engaged when we were just babies. Both of us was working it was called Airway then, but it's Target now. And so we, didn't have a pot to piss in, like they say, and we were so young and we didn't know what we were doing. And so I chickened out and I got scared and I broke off the engagement. And then all these years later, here he is. He's, looked me up and he found me. And he had just come off of a very traumatic relationship, not a marriage, but they'd lived together for quite a while. And he was not the same, and that was apparent to me at the beginning when I saw him again. He wasn't the sweet, innocent person that I remembered, but who is? I'm sure I wasn't either. And so we started seeing each other, and he had told me that he had had an alcohol problem, but that he had quit, and that was part of what broke him and his girlfriend up. And so he wasn't gonna, go there anymore. He wasn't gonna do that anymore. And so I started, to be supportive of him. I started going to his AA meetings with him. And that didn't last long, but I didn't ever see him drinking and seemed to be fine. So we ended up, like I said, getting an apartment together, getting married. And the marriage lasted 15 months because literally after we married, everything went to hell. He started to sneak drink, I think. And when he would do that, and here I am already married to him, right? And when he would drink, he would start to get real, weirded out in his head. Like, his grandparents were long dead, but he said he was so close to them and he missed them so much. And then when he would drink, he would pace in the apartment and talk to them, And I would just be scared and sitting in the bed and locked in the bedroom because I didn't, and then sometimes he'd get angry, like really angry, and start punching walls and start, doing that kind of stuff. We lived in the apartment for a year, and then we moved into a single wide trailer. I know that sounds, I don't think trailer living is that bad. I mean, it was a nice neighborhood, and I thought it was a step up from an apartment. And, we went on. So you can tell this is very hard for me. We moved into the trailer, and I made good friends with the next door neighbor. Her name was Angie. She was very sweet. And D is what we'll call him. It just kept getting more and more strange. And he was spending a lot of time out at his mom and dad's farm. And then when he'd come back, he'd be, drunk. Or I would catch him with a bottle of vodka. I looked out the window one day. I saw him with a bottle of vodka in the shed, And I confronted him, and that didn't go well. And things started to get more and more violent, and, domestic abuse was happening. And I was afraid of him. And one night I had my kids over, and he was supposed to be staying out at his mom's, but he came home and he was drunk. And so I said, come on, let's go. I would always hope that he would just pass out, but he never did. He would never just pass out from being drunk. And so I put the kids in the car. They were, early high school. And I said, let's go get something to eat. Let's just get out of here. Well, he didn't want me to leave. And here, I've got my kids, and I'm like, we're leaving, and tried to just get out of there as quick as possible. And he went to the bathroom, and I told the kids, get in the car, lock the doors, and I right behind him, and he got done in the bathroom, and he came out the front door, and he had his keys, and he was screaming, and he was beating on my side of the window. And I just went ahead and backed the car out of the driveway, and he took his key and just keyed all the way down this car that I had. It was a rental car. And so the kids and I, got away from it all that night. And, it just kind of all runs together when you're living something like that, in that kind of terror, and you're constantly in fight or flight mode. And it just becomes like a natural thing to be always watching your back and always planning ahead. And, you want to leave, but the most dangerous time is right after you have left your abuser, because they're not having it. And you've got to pick yourself up and just do it, even though it's terrifying, and try to get, the proper legal help that you need to stay safe. So I went downtown and I filed for not only a divorce, but I filed for a restraining order. and I went to stay with my parents because I didn't have any place else to stay. And of course he, found me there. He saw my car out front. One night he came by with a shotgun and blew all the windows out of it. One night he came by and slashed all the tires on my dad's car, and my dad was in his 70s at the point, it's like, it broke my heart. It broke my heart I had to be there, that I was putting them through this, that I was just a complete mess. My job made me go and get counseling. I was resistant to that, but it was the best thing that could have ever happened. And I got on some medication and tried to, straighten things out. I had him arrested initially the first time for choking me. He was pounding on the top of the dresser or something about something, and he threw me on the bed and got on top of me and was just choking me. And then he finally let up, and he got in his van and he went somewhere. And while he was gone, I left and I went to a phone booth. Back then there were still phone booths at a Speedway gas station, and I called 911. And the officers, when they showed up, I told them what happened, and they said there was a little bit of an older officer and then one that was a little younger, probably more my age. And I told them what happened, and I told them that he choked me, and I told them, that he had guns, like lots of guns. And they said, well, let me see your neck. I don't see any bruising on you. I don't see that you've been hit. I don't see that you've been choked. And man, it took everything I had because I needed their help. And I said, well, it's the truth, and I don't make this up, and you can look. I don't have even a speeding ticket. It's not like I call in all the time, And I was, of course, tearful. And so the younger cop kind of was like, it's okay. We're going to go check. And as they were walking away, I said, please be careful, because I'm telling you, he is not right. And he's got shotguns and rifles at every window and every door. So please be careful. And so they said, okay. And they arrested him that night because when they got there, indeed, he had guns and he was pointing them, out the window and telling them, get away from here and all this stuff. And then they called me and they said, okay, we've got him under arrest. We can only hold him for 24 hours, which is complete bull crap. I said, I thought I would be safe after you arrested him. And they said, well, you are for 24 hours, but you're going to have to figure out something. So it was up to me then, the one who was being abused, to figure out a place to go and move all my stuff out and within 24 hours. Plus I had 8 hours of that I had to work. I had to, or I was gonna, be in big trouble. And so I got a bunch of friends and we moved me out, and he, got bail or whatever, and he was out the next day. And there were several times that I had him arrested. This is getting long. I'm gonna kind of like skip through a little bit, but there were several times that I had him arrested, and whenever he would get out, he would stalk me. And it got to a point where my office believed that he was sick enough that he was capable of anything. So they had police detectives come in and sit during office hours, sit in the office with us, a couple different ones. Do you know how much that had to cost? I'm surprised I kept my job, but I did. And in the meantime, while we were still together, unbeknownst to me, he had gotten in my purse and taken a phone list out of my purse that had the phone number and name of all the employees that I worked with, and the doctors and the office manager, I mean, everybody. And everybody started getting phone calls and threatening phone calls. And, you know, it was just so, just so not me that it was ridiculous. And, you know, that's what I get for always thinking that it'll be okay, I can fix this. I've since learned that my lesson on that. When people show you who they are, believe them. Period. That's it. So, one night I was working till 10, and they had a description of his van, and they told me he was, you know, parked across the street from the office, and they chased him down and shoot him off. And it's just a big mess the way the system works or doesn't work. And, you know, I'm not here to put down the justice system, because in the end they did save me, because they did get him arrested for breaking the oh God, reliving this is kind of upsetting me. The restraining order, and they put him in jail, and he was in jail for a while, and he got an attorney, and before they put him in jail, he had left recorded messages on one of the girls in the office. He left 4 or 5 messages on her answering machine threatening me and everyone that we worked with, and she had those transcribed at her other job, and you know, written down for all posterity or whatever. And finally, during the court trial, and there was a court trial, the judge did allow those to be heard. If she hadn't allowed those to be heard, I don't think he would have went to jail. But she did, thank God. And his mother was in the courtroom, and his attorney and everyone, you know, listened to it. And, you know, the whole court is full of people that are on the docket for that day. I mean, it's not anything that's private, or you have this private courtroom or anything. It's more like, you know, the Perry Mason thing. And so everybody heard it, and his attorney went back to his mother, and he said, can you testify that that's not Dee's voice? And I saw her shaking her head no, and he ended up going to jail for about 6 months on that then. And since then, according to my knowledge, I have not seen him. He has no idea where I am. And that's, like I said, was 1995 and 6. He did call my divorce attorney, and he told him, and this is like sometime after, and he told him that he wanted the jewelry back that he'd given me. Like, what jewelry did he give me? You know, come on. And I told the attorney, I said, I hawked everything, which was the truth. I hawked everything so I could feed myself and the kids. So, yeah. I mean, if you would like a video more on just domestic abuse and not particularly my story, I can do that. It's a very terrifying and hard thing to do, and I still suffer from PTSD and just anxiety. It just, you know, that is the biggest source of my anxiety. So, but I'm not on any medicines anymore for it, so I dealt with it. And it's been a long, long time, and I'm sure, I mean, I check the internet every once in a great while to see if I can find his location. He's still around here in Indiana, but he's in a different town, and I'm sure he's, 100 times worse than he was last time I saw him, and probably doesn't even remember who I am. So we're going to go with that, and I'm going to let you go, and be nice in the comments. I'll answer any questions you have in the comments below, so don't be afraid to ask. This was just kind of a hard one for me, so have a great day.